Good afternoon. What I'd like to introduce to you now is the Takamaz XC-100 connected line. What it is actually, it's two machines, two XC-100s that are connected so that it basically will transfer the parts from the Op 10, the first operation, and it'll take the parts and it'll drop them on the in-feed conveyor of the second machine to do the Op 20 side, and then the finished parts would come on this outfeed conveyor here. So again, it's a connected line of two machines together. We've got the safety guarding off so you can see things a little bit better. So first, what I want to do is just kind of show you the overview of the front. We're going to walk around the side of the machine so I can explain a little bit that in the back of the machine, and then we'll get a little bit more into the detail of the loading and the sequence. So come with me if you don't mind. Again, this is the Op 20 machine. This is the outfeed conveyor of the Op 20 machine. So again, these would be completely finished parts. Op 10, Op 20 finished parts would come on the outfeed conveyor. Over here, we could have like an accumulation table or something like that, so we can accumulate the finished parts. As with the single spindle XC-100, I bring the connected line in with the torquoid pump. This is a high pressure, high volume pump, about 300 PSI roughly for this particular pump. And we have two valves. So basically we have M-code switching of the high pressure through the spindle coolant, and also high pressure coolant to the turret. The through the spindle coolant is especially important when you're doing any ID cutting, because we want to flush out those chips that get into the work holder. So let's continue around the back of the machine now. Again, now this is two machines, so you're going to have two chip conveyors. So the chip conveyor of the Op 20 machine come up here. It's basically gooseneck style, and you can put your chips over here. Then as we walk around the machine, you can see we've got the safety guarding here on the back of the machine, and there is obviously safety guarding on the front of the machine as well. We just don't have it on for the video purposes. Once again, the torquoid pump, the high pressure pump, and the valves for the M-code switching. So right now you're looking at the Op 10 machine here. This is the Op 10 machine. Come around here. So as with the single spindle machine, we have our in-feed conveyor. Now you do have the option on this machine, because we have an outfeed conveyor on the Op 10 machine. So it does allow you to use it as a single spindle machine if you choose to, where you could have the blank parts come here and the finished parts come on this outfeed conveyor, as you do with this basic single spindle machine. So let me explain a little bit more detail on the machine itself. Of course, it's FNUC control, so both machines are the same, so they'll have a FNUC control, and each machine has its own independent loader PLC. The loading, the teach point loading on this is very, very simple, I must tell you. And we'll go through the loading sequence a little bit more, but basically it's just teach style, and it's got a nice cable on it, so it makes it very easy to jog the loader down and set a teach point, jog the loader in, set a teach point. Very, very simple to use, very, very simple to set up, and changeover is also very, very simple as well. So let me explain a little bit further about this. Again, this is the, you notice that the Op 10 machine has an extended rail. This is an extended gantry rail. This goes past the frame of the machine, and this is the in-feed conveyor for the Op 20 machine. Now you'll see when we run the machine, this is a Y turn device. So basically the finished Op 10 parts will be placed into the Y turn device, and this device will actually turn and flip the parts over onto the in-feed conveyor for the Op 20 machine. Now those parts come down, and basically we have another turn device here that flips the parts once again. So now it would be oriented correctly for the loader of the second machine, or the Op 20 machine, to come down and load and unload the parts into the chuck for the backside operation of the Op 20. And then the finished parts then would come on the outfeed conveyor for the Op 20 machine. So with that, let me go now, and I'm going to have assistance to kind of explain the loading sequence for you. Before we start that, let me just kind of point out a couple of things here. We have two hands. We have a loader hand and we have an unloader hand. So the loader hand obviously is going to take blank parts that are presented on the in-feed conveyor, and they will be put into the loader hand. One point that Takamaz does, you can see that it's very quick changeover. You can see these are the loader hand grippers, and these are the unloader hand grippers. Basically one screw. Is all that's needed for changeover. Now you've got about a 10 millimeters or about a ½ inch of stroke, so pretty much about a ½ inch diameter change in the part means that you don't really need to change the loader or the unloader grippers. But if you do change that part diameter, and if you do need to change the grippers, it's very quick to do so. You can see just one screw. Another point I want to put on here is that this is the loader pusher. So the blank part would be in the grippers, and then you'll see in a moment we basically come down when we're going to load the part. This is a pneumatic cylinder here that actually pushes the part up against the work stop. And one nice feature is that it has a sensor on here, so that if this pusher pushes either too far or it doesn't push far enough, it'll felt out the machine. So that gives us protection for any kind of misloading that we might have. So with that, I'm going to have to actually start and actually show you kind of the sequence, if we can. So what he's showing right now is that we're taking the part. This is actually taking the finished Op10 part and actually putting it down into the turn device, leading into the in conveyor for the Op20 machine. So you can see how that turned the part. And then we'll flip it over one more time at the Op20 side. So let's go back over here to the loading. So that's an unload there of the chuck, and now we're loading. So we're going to come over after we've done that. We're going to drop the part off onto the turn device for the Op20 machine. Now you can see how these parts here basically transition down through the in-feed conveyor for the Op20 machine. And there's part present sensors here that make sure that the part is dropped down. So everything is all set in an automatic mode. So these parts will transition down here, and then they'll be picked up by the Y turn device, or the turn device that is for the Op20 machine here. So we're doing this in slow motion mode right now. So you there now it's a finished Op20 part right there. So again, now we're going to do the cutting. So we'll just show you here in kind of slow motion again the loading and the unloading sequence. And again, now we're on the Op20 side. So you'll see here the shutter door will open up. We'll come down. This is in slow mode. We're going to do an unload. So we're unloading the part. Typically we would air blow right now, blow off the chips, and then we'll come in and we'll load the part, push the part up against the work stop. Now we've unloaded, we'll take the part. Now that's a finished, completely finished part that is going to transition on the outfeed conveyor. So what we'll do now that you've seen basically the motion from in-feed to out-feed in slow motion, I'm going to have the machine sped up, and we'll do this now in full automatic mode so you can kind of get a good feeling for how fast the machine is in motion. And again, a couple of other nice features about this system is that, you know, for a very good price, you're getting 2 turrets, 2 spindles, and 2 loaders. So your overall system cycle time is extremely good. And there's absolutely no vibration that can transfer from first spindle to second spindle, because as you can see, you've probably got about a good 2 to 3 feet between the spindles. So there's absolutely no chance of any vibration transferring from one spindle to the next. One of the other great features about this package is that if you said, hey, listen, I want to separate these machines. I want to use this in another part of the factory and run one job, and I want to take this machine and use it in another part of the factory and another job. It's very, very simple. As you can see, they're 2 separate machines. Each one of them has their own in-feed and out-feed conveyors. So it takes probably 10 minutes to actually separate the machines and use them as completely independent machines. So it's got a lot of advantages to this line. Cost, rigidity, flexibility, and overall performance is just fantastic. So we're taking it back up now. Again, you can see everything's moving independently. I mean, you can see that we're cutting on this spindle here while we're loading, unloading on the second spindle. So there's no wasted motion. Everything is happening independently, but simultaneously with the entire overall system process. You also see you get a bit of a natural buffer here of parts, so that you may be able to, if you're changing tools on one spindle, you may have a few parts that you can run actually in a kind of a natural buffer between the two spindles.